friends, I'm Mrs. E. I'm so glad you joined me today for a reading lesson. Well, let's get started. Today in our lesson in reading, we are actually going to do some writings, and we are going to refer to our book or informational text about macaws. Here's our learning target. I will learn to write a paragraph. Our success criteria is I can write a paragraph about what macaws eat. So once again, let's get our materials. You need something to write on since we'll be doing some writing, and something to write with, pen or pencil, since we'll be writing a paragraph. You can pause the video to go get your materials. Let's begin with asking, what is a paragraph? A paragraph is a group of sentences, so more than one sentence, that are written about a certain topic. So you'll see when you are reading that a paragraph are a group of sentences that are set aside or set apart from other paragraphs by having indentation or skip a line because they talk about a certain topic. Usually a paragraph will have a topic sentence, so like a beginning sentence, and it will have supporting detailed sentences that support the topic sentence or the topic that you are talking about in the paragraph. Then you'll close or have a sentence that kind of closes your paragraph. Perhaps you might be repeating in a different way the topic sentence you had. So our topic that we are going to write about is, what do macaws eat? Our task, it is to write a paragraph about what macaws eat. First, we need to go back and reread the section in the book Macaws. Secondly, we will use a graphic organizer to gather information about this topic, which is what macaws eat. Then we will write our paragraph. Using your materials, follow along with me as we try our task of writing a paragraph together. I am going to create a graphic organizer so that I can collect and gather information about our topic. So I might draw a line like this. A line down, and so now I just created a column here with this vertical line, and I'm going to also even just create like a horizontal line. And this up here, I am going to write the bird, which is the macaws. And here, I'm going to write what the topic that I want to write about. I know it's about macaws, but I'm going to write specifically more about what they eat. So in order to write about this topic, I need to gather information. So another word for what they eat would be something like a diet. So what is their diet? So off to this side right here is where I'm going to collect notes all about this, what they eat. So what I need to do next now is I need to go to my book and look for this information, what they eat. Well, I'm going to go to table of contents and see where I can find this information. So if I go to table of contents here, I see there is a section called what macaws eat. So I can simply go to page 13 to find information about what they eat. Right here. So here's the section I'm going to read, and as I'm reading, I am going to jot down some information that I gather. What macaws eat? Macaws eat nuts, berries, leaves, and seeds. Okay, so I just read that information. So I am going to take notes in here in my graphic organizer, what they eat. Now, I don't need to write it in sentences. I can just start writing down what they eat. So they eat nuts. Feel free to follow along. And if you need to pause the video so you can catch up, feel free to do so. Nuts, berries. It also says they eat leaves and seeds. Once again, notice I didn't need to write them in sentences. I'm just listing things that they eat. With their strong jaws and beaks, macaws can crack open hard nut shells. They have the strongest bite of any bird. They also use their tongues to dig inside shells to get nuts. From just reading this paragraph, and I know it's a paragraph because it ends here, and then the next sentence starts with an indent right here. Do you see this indentation right here? So I know this is a new paragraph. So here's my first paragraph. And from just reading the first paragraph, I am seeing that they use their strong jaws. So I'm going to just write use strong jaws and beaks. Then I'm going to start reading the next paragraph. Macaws, they eat seeds with toxins or poisons from soapbox and mahogany trees. These seeds would make many other animals sick, but not macaws. Oh, that's really interesting. So they can eat seeds with poison, but they don't get sick. Macaws can eat them because they also eat clay from riverbanks. Macaws visit clay mounds about 3 times a week. They cling to the clay and scrape chunks into their mouth. If the macaws did not eat the clay, the toxins from the seeds would stay in their bodies. The clay traps the toxins, then the clay with the toxins pass in the form of waste. That means macaws do not get sick. Well, I just read this whole paragraph. It's talking about seeds with toxin and how the macaws do not get sick. So I'm going to gather some information and put that in here because it talks about their diet. So let's see, right in here. So I'm going to write in here, they eat seeds with toxins, which is another word for poisons. And I also see that these animals do not get sick. Well, maybe I'll make a note here. Don't get sick. Do not. Notice I emphasizing that they do not get sick. And that's because, notice I'm putting an arrow there because I'm trying to show the effect here, why they don't get sick. And it's because they eat them, macaws can eat them because they also eat clay. Oh, it's the clay. Oh, I see in the index they mentioned clay. So they also eat clay from riverbanks. Macaws visit clay mounds about 3 times a week. They cling to the clay and scrape chunks into their mouth. If they did not eat the clay, the toxins from the seeds would stay in their bodies. So they really need to eat the clays so that it would leave their bodies. So they do not get sick is because they eat clay from riverbanks. And we know that when they eat the clay, their clay traps the toxins. Then what happens? The clay with toxins it leaves the body in waste form. Well, so I have gathered this much information, which I am going to turn this now into a paragraph. So I am now going to take another notebook paper and transfer that information and create my paragraph about what they eat. So I'm going to use this red line. I'm not going to go past this red line. So I'm going to begin here, but I'm going to give myself 2 finger space right here to show that I can like indent. And that's how I'm going to start my new sentence in the paragraph. So starting here, I can start with a topic sentence. I'm going to need a topic sentence, which means the beginning sentence that introduces what this paragraph is going to be about. So I'm going to start with macaws are amazing birds that eat And from what I hear, what I see, that they eat lots of different kinds of food. I learned that they eat nuts, berries, leaves, and seeds. I'm going to write a topic sentence that says they eat lots of different kinds of foods. And another way to say different kinds of foods or lots of different kinds of foods is a variety. Variety meaning lots of different kinds of foods. And my period. Then I can go ahead and explain and also show the examples what they eat. They eat nuts, berries, leaves, and because I'm going to have one more item, which is I'm listing, I'm going to add and. So notice they eat nuts, berries, leaves, and then I have one more item to add. So I'm going to add the word and for my last item and seeds. And once again, I'm going to end with a period to complete my sentence. Now I'm going to talk a little bit more in here about how they eat clay. But before I do, I think I want to add something about, let's see, I use this. And then I talked about, maybe I want to say something about their strong jaws, how they have that to help them eat. Use their strong jaws and beaks. Now, I think I want to expand and talk about how they eat seeds with toxins. So I could write macaws eat seeds with toxins, but they do not get sick. I want to write why they don't get sick. So maybe something like I want to have a transition here that says this is possible, or this is possible because macaws, they eat clay. Eat clay. And maybe instead of starting another sentence, I'm going to write because macaws eat clay, which, I'm going to explain the clay here, which traps the toxins. Then I also know that the clay with toxins and then it leaves the body. Then the clay with toxins, or I could even write the word poisons. With poisons, leaves the body in the form of waste. Well, so I just wrote all the supporting details that talk about macaws eating a variety of foods. Now I need a concluding sentence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take which is my topic sentence right here. Macaws are amazing birds that eat a variety of foods. Well, at the end of my paragraph, with all my supporting details here, at the end, I can conclude this paragraph with a concluding sentence. And concluding sentences, I can usually take a look at my topic sentence and repeat it in a different way. So it says, macaws are amazing birds that eat a variety of foods. I know this was very interesting to me, so I am going to leave my reader with something that says interesting. And I'm going to use it in the form of adverbs. So interestingly, let's say macaws can eat I can say eat lots of different kinds of food. Here's my concluding sentence. And when I go back and reread, I want to make sure I have capital letters, which is at the beginning of sentence, and period at the end of the sentence. So if you see any capital letters in the beginning of the sentence, I am going to mark it with a green crayon. And if I see periods, I'm going to mark it with a pink at the end. So let's make sure I have complete sentences. Macaws are amazing birds. So I did start with a capital letter. Macaws are amazing birds that eat a variety of foods. Yep, I have my period. So doing this helps me to edit my paper and make sure I have all my sentences that are complete. They eat nuts, berries, and leaves and seeds. Here's my next sentence. And yes, I do have a capital letter, and I did end with a period. They use their strong jaws and beaks. Yep, and I do have my another complete sentence with a period. Macaws, here's my new beginning sentence. Macaws eat seeds with toxins, but they do not get sick. Here's that. This is possible because macaws eat clay, which traps the toxins. So I'm seeing another one here, and period right in here. Then the clay with poisons leaves the body in the form of waste. And in my concluding sentence, interestingly, macaws can eat lots of different kinds of food. In this case, I have an exclamation point at the end. It's time for us to go and revisit our learning target to see how we did. I will learn to write a paragraph. Well, we did, because we can see in our success criteria, it says, I can write a paragraph about what macaws eat. And indeed, we did write our paragraph. We wrote a paragraph that had a topic sentence, supporting detail sentences, and a concluding sentence, and it was about what macaws eat. Once again, great job, my friends. I hope this helped you to write a paragraph, and this will help you to also be a good reader and motivated reader. Well, until next time, I'll see you then. Reading is awesome.
Welcome to 5th grade mathematics. I am Mrs. Gooch of Mark Twain Elementary. We have been doing math with large multi-digit numbers, but now we will work with numbers that are small, numbers that are less than 1. And to express these numbers, we use fractions. Today, we will be doing math with decimal fractions. Let's read our learning target together. Ready, begin. I will add and subtract decimal fractions. Fractions are equal parts of a whole. Things like 4/5, 2/10. But decimal fractions are fractions of 1/10 or 100 or 1,000th, etc. These are written differently than other fractions. Let's take a look. Think of this square as one whole. You can think of it like a cake. You can see this square is divided up into little tiny squares. These are the 100 blocks you might have seen in your classroom. But today, I want you to think of this as one. See how I've written it up here? There is a dot after the one. This dot is called a decimal point. You might remember that numbers on the left of the decimal point are whole numbers, and numbers on the right of the decimal point are decimal fractions, equal parts of a whole. If you count the whole two top rows, that is 2/10. Each of these rows is 1/10 of the whole thing. And we would write it by writing a 0, a decimal point, and writing a 2 just to the right of the decimal point. This means 2/10. These little tiny squares are hundredths because there are 100 of them in one whole. 2 of them would be 2/100ths. Here is how it is written as a fraction, and here is how it is written as a decimal, with a 0, a decimal point, a 0 in the tenths place, and a 2 in the hundredths place. Let's read our success criteria together. Ready? Begin. I can use place value to add and subtract decimals in the tenths and hundredths place. When we say tenths, we mean how many 1/10ths there are. And when we say hundredths, we are talking about how many 1/100ths there are. What do we remember about the place value chart for decimal notation? After the ones place, to the right we have a decimal point, and all numbers to the right are decimal fractions. We have the tenths column. That shows how many tenths there are. And then we have the hundredths column, which shows how many hundredths there are. And all of the other place values that come after get smaller and smaller as they go this direction. Let's practice with this word problem. Go ahead and make sure you have some paper and something to write with so you can work along with me. Let's read this problem together and find out what it is about. Ooh, do you notice these two amounts? Do you know what this symbol here means? That's right, it's a money sign. How much money is this? 15 cents. Decimals are used to show amounts of money that are in cents. Mindy buys bubble gum for 15 cents and a lollipop for 60 cents. How much did she spend? What is Mindy doing in this problem? She's buying bubble gum and a lollipop. So she's buying two things in this problem. What is this problem asking us? Let us read it one more time to find out. Ready? Begin. Mindy buys bubblegum for 15 cents and a lollipop for 60 cents. How much did she spend? What is the question we are trying to find out? This question here at the bottom is the one we are trying to answer. How much did she spend? In your own words, what does that mean? Right, that means how much money she spent all together on the bubble gum and the lollipop. So if we are finding out how much she spent all together, what kind of math will that be? Right, we're going to be adding those two amounts. Let's read the problem one more time to find out what numbers or information we need to figure out how much Mindy spent. Ready? Begin. Mindy buys bubble gum for 15 cents and a lollipop for 60 cents. How much did she spend? Do you see the two amounts we will be working with? 15 cents and 60 cents. Did you notice that I underlined what the problem was about or other important information, that I put a box around the question I am trying to answer, and I circled the numbers that have the information I will need. You can also cross out information you do not need, but I don't see anything here like that. What kind of equation can we write to show what is happening with these numbers? Right? We put a plus for adding. 0.15, how do we say that? 0 and 15 hundredths plus 0 and 60 hundredths. We can just say 15 hundredths and 60 hundredths. What letter can we use for the unknown, the amount she spent? I'm going to use an M for money. That is the amount we're trying to find out. What can we do to add these two amounts together? Let's look at what's happening with these numbers using our model. If we put 15 hundredths, that's the same as 1/10 and 5 hundredths. And here are the 6 tenths. So if we have the 6 tenths and the 60 hundredths and 6 tenths, is that the same thing? Have you noticed it's the same thing? It is. I should say 60 hundredths. You see why? There's a 0 in the hundredths place. So 60 hundredths plus 15 hundredths, how much is this making altogether? How many tenths and how many hundredths do you see? Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 tenths, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hundredths. 7 tenths and 5 hundredths. Let's use a place value chart to do the math we just did on that model. Write a place value chart with me. We'll start by writing ones, put a number 1, and then a line, and we'll put a dot here because that's where the decimal point would go. That one a little longer. And then we're going to do our tenths. So I'm going to write a little 1/10. And then we're going to write another line going all the way down, and we'll write hundredths. Okay, we're just going to put a line underneath that. This is our place value chart to help us keep track of our math. Okay, let's put these numbers into our place value chart, starting with 15 hundredths. There are no ones, so we put a 0 in the ones place, then the decimal point. There is 1/10 and 5 hundredths, which is the same thing as 15 hundredths. Now let's put in the 60 hundredths. 60 hundredths is what we use to write 60 cents because a cent or a penny is 1/100th of a dollar. That's how that works. There are no ones. We put a 0. We put our decimal point. We put our 6/10 and 0 hundredths. 6/10 and 60 hundredths are the same thing. When we see a 0 in the hundredths place, we say 60 hundredths. Now we will add these together. We can use the standard American algorithm, just the way we add regular whole numbers. The important thing is to bring that decimal point down and keep it where it is. Starting with the smallest place value, which in this problem are the hundredths. 5 hundredths plus 0 hundredths are 5 hundredths. 1/10 plus 6/10 are 7 tenths. And 0 plus 0 means 0 ones. How many hundredths is in the answer? Right, 75 hundredths or 7 tenths and 5 hundredths, the same thing we saw in our model. So M, or the amount that she spent, equals 0.75. So how much money is that? 75 cents. So Mindy spent 75 cents. Let's write that sentence here since we always answer a word problem with a sentence. Mindy spent, we put a money symbol here, 0.75, 75 cents, period. Mindy spent 75 cents. Let's find out what is happening with this word problem. Ready? Begin. A butterfly, Max found, measures 2.5 inches. IN means inches. And a moth he found that night was only 1.4 inches. What was the difference in size between them? So when we see 2.5, how else do we say that? 2 and, we say and when we see the decimal point, 2 and 5 tenths of an inch. 2 and 5 tenths of an inch. How do we say this amount? 1 and 4 tenths of an inch. So he is measuring how big these insects are. Let's underline what is happening here. He found a butterfly, he found a moth, and he is measuring them. What is it asking us to figure out? A butterfly Max found measures 2.5 inches, or 2 and 5 tenths inches, and a moth he found that night was only 1 and 4 tenths inches. What was the difference in size between them? The question at the end has the word difference. What do we do when we see the word difference? When we see the word difference, Usually we are going to subtract. We are looking for the difference between two different amounts, one that is bigger and one that is smaller. So we subtract the smaller amount from the bigger amount. What amounts are we doing subtraction with? A butterfly Max found measures 2 and 5/10 inches, and a moth he found that night was only 1 and 4/10 inches. What was the difference in size between them? Our two amounts that we are working with are 2.5 and 1.4. 2 and 5/10, 1 and 4/10. How do we write an equation for these two amounts, finding the difference? We'll start with the bigger amount, 2 and 5/10, and we subtract the smaller amount, 1 and 4/10, to get the difference in size between them. We can use the letter D to stand for the difference. So here is our equation. To use the standard American algorithm to subtract, we will line these up just like we're putting them in a place value chart. But let's see if we can do it without using a place value chart. 2 and 5/10, and put 1 and 4/10 underneath, making sure we line up the ones, the decimal point, and the tenths. Put a line and our math symbol to show we are subtracting. We start with the smallest place value, which is the tenths here. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down the decimal point. 2 minus 1 is 1, which is what D is. So that means Max's butterfly is 1.1 inches longer than the moth. Let's see if we met our learning target and success criteria. Our learning target was to add and subtract decimal fractions. Are you able to do this using a model? Are you able to do it using a place value chart or the standard American algorithm? If so, then you met our learning target and our success criteria. Until then, continue to look for the math in everyday life.
Hola, buenos días chicos, bienvenidos a nuestra clase de mate de hoy. Vamos a hablar de decimales. Vamos a empezar con un repaso de valor posicional y luego vamos a practicar sumar decimales, ¿ok? Entonces, debes de tener un cuaderno, un lápiz, y vamos a empezar con decimales. Vamos a aprender cómo sumar decimales y vamos a empezar con un repaso del valor posicional de decimales. Lección, como les dije, les había comentado que íbamos a empezar con un repasito, no sé, de valor posicional de decimales, porque vamos a estar hablando mucho de eso hoy. Entonces, lo básico, aquí en rojo, centenas, decenas, unidades, ¿ok? Números enteros ahí, fácil, ¿sí? Y aquí tenemos nuestro decimal. Aquí tenemos décimos, centésimos y milésimos, ¿ok? Obviamente podemos seguir 10 milésimos, 100 milésimos, así si queremos, pero para la lección de hoy no vamos a ocupar tantos números, ¿ok? Entonces, puedes poner pausa, puedes tomar una foto, un screenshot, o puedes buscar en Google valor posicional de decimales y vas a encontrar algo así, pero eso sí te va a ayudar, ¿ok, chicos? Bueno, vamos a empezar con la lección entonces. Y siempre me gusta empezar con una pregunta, ¿ok? Y la pregunta es, ¿en qué se parece sumar decimales a sumar números enteros? ¿Ok? Toma un momento, piénsalo. Vamos a ver. Es nuestra pregunta central de hoy. ¿En qué se parece sumar decimales a sumar números enteros? Pues si ustedes dijeron, estamos sumando, estás en lo correcto, ¿sí? O sea, sumar es sumar, aunque tenga un decimal. Podemos hacer fracciones igual, estás sumando, ¿verdad? ¿Ok? Entonces, en qué se parece sumar decimales a sumar números enteros? Vamos a sumar. Muy bien, ¿ok? La única diferencia, chicos, es que está ahí el decimal. Y les voy a enseñar cómo podemos alinear nuestros números para que sea muy fácil, ¿ok? Entonces vamos a empezar. Sabrina y Christy corren en una carrera de relevos. Sabrina corre 100 metros en 36 décimos segundos. ¿Ok? Fíjense que yo dije 13 y 6 décimos segundos. No dije 13.6. ¿Ok? Yo estoy haciendo eso y te lo recomiendo hacer igual porque eso te va a ayudar a entender más nuestro valor posicional. ¿Ok? Entonces, Sabrina corre 100 metros en 13 y 6 décimos segundos. Christy corre la misma distancia en 12 y 2 décimos segundos. ¿Cuál es su tiempo total? ¿Ok? Pueden poner pausa, toma un momento, intenta hacerlo ustedes. Ya sé que apenas estamos empezando, pero me gustaría ver cómo vas a organizar ese problema. ¿Ok? Vamos a ver aquí. Tenemos cuál es su tiempo total. ¿Ok? Estamos buscando un total. Eso quiere decir que vamos a estar sumando. Ya les dije que vamos a estar sumando hoy, ¿verdad? Pero, o sea, un dato importante. Tú ves la palabra total, tú debes de estar pensando sumar. ¿Ok? Vamos a ver, aquí tenemos varias cosas que podemos usar. Decenas, unidades, décimas, centésimas. ¿Ok? Y aquí tenemos una tabla de valor posicional. Si ustedes estuvieron buscando en Google tabla de valor posicional, tal vez encontraron algo parecido a este. ¿Ok? Si vemos aquí, no estamos viendo eso aún. ¿Ok? Si vemos aquí, vamos a ver, ¿ok? Que los decimales están alineados. ¿Verdad que sí? Entonces, ¿cómo creen que podemos escribir ese problema? ¿Qué tal si ponemos 13 6, escribimos 12.2 o 12 y 2 décimos. ¿Ok? La pregunta es, ¿cómo vamos a escribir o dónde voy a poner mi decimal? Nunca, cuando estamos sumando, nunca va a cambiar de posición. ¿Ok? Si vemos otra vez aquí, los decimales siempre alineados. Ve aquí, alineados. ¿Ok? Entonces, eso es lo que vamos a hacer aquí también. 6 más 2, chicos. Fácil, ¿no? 8. 3 más 2. 5. Y 1 más 1. 2. Fácil, ¿no? Bien fácil, ¿ok? 25.8 segundos o usando nuestro vocabulario de valor posicional, vamos a decir 25 y 8 décimos de segundos, ¿verdad? Ok. Vamos a seguir adelante, chicos. Se puede sumar decimales de diferentes maneras, al igual como se suman números enteros de diferentes maneras. Piensa en el problema. Aquí está. 32 y 14 centésimos y 17 y 5 décimos. ¿Ok? Es un poquito diferente, ¿no? ¿Ok? Escribe el problema en la siguiente tabla de valor posicional y ahí ya el total. ¿Ok? Decenas y unidades, fácil. Vamos a empezar con 32 y 14 centésimas. Sería así. ¿Ok? 3 está en decenas, 2 en unidades, 1 décimas, 4 centésimas. ¿Ok? Ahora, eso es el truco. ¿Ok? Cuando ustedes están sumando. Porque es un poquito diferente. Porque si estuvieran sumando nada más números sin decimales, ¿verdad? Podríamos escribir 5, 7 y 1 aquí, ¿sí? Pero como siempre tenemos que alinear nuestros decimales, vamos a escribir 1, 7, 5. ¿Ok? 1, 7, 5. Y ya nada más tenemos que sumar. A ver, les voy a dar un truco. Algo que yo hago, ¿ok? Para que eso sea más fácil. Puedo agregar un 0 aquí. ¿Ok? Porque para mí eso se ve extraño, que no hay un número ahí. ¿Ok? Entonces, si quieren, pueden agregar un 0 ahí, no va a cambiar nada. ¿Ok? Nada más es un poquito más fácil para mí. 4 más 0, vamos a poner el 4. 1 más 5, 6. 2 más 7, 9. Y 3 más 1 va a ser 4. Entonces ya tengo 49 y 64 centésimas. ¿Ok? Muy bien, vamos a pensar en esa pregunta. ¿Cómo la tabla de valor posicional te ayudó a sumar? ¿Te ayudó? Hmm. Para mí es más fácil organizar el problema. Y chicos, la verdad, eso es lo más importante, ¿ok? Porque todos ustedes son muy inteligentes, ya saben cómo sumar. Nada más, o sea, lo difícil, ¿verdad? De esos problemas es la organización, ¿ok? Hay que organizarlos bien. Y si los organizamos bien, podemos hacerlos así de fácil, ¿ok? Rapidito, facilito, ¿ok? Entonces, así, van a usar una palabra aquí, la forma desarrollada, ¿ok? Para descomponer cada sumando según su valor posicional, ¿ok? para descomponerlo, vamos a separarlo, ¿ok? Forma desarrollada quiere decir, ¿ok? Que vamos a deconstruir ese número, ¿ok? Entonces vamos a ver cómo se ve eso. 32 y 14 centésimas, vamos a tomarlo en todas sus partes, entonces vamos a escribir 30, ¿ok? 32, porque 3 decenas, más 2 unidades, ¿sí? Perdón, una décima, ¿ok? Eso se escribe con un decimal y 1, ¿verdad? Y luego más 4 centésimas. Y eso vamos a escribir así, 0,4, ¿ok? Eso te va a ayudar también a practicar, a ver cómo se ven los decimales en tu tabla de valor posicional y cómo se ven solitos. Entonces hacemos lo mismo con 17 y 5 décimas. Vamos a ver, sería 10. Disculpa mi letra. 10 más 7 más 5 décimos, ¿va? Muy fácil, ¿no? ¿Ok? Y luego dice, haya el total de 32 y 14 centésimos más 17 y 5 décimas, sumando las partes en cualquier orden, ¿ok? Entonces lo que ustedes pueden ir haciendo es sumando, o sea, cada partecito. Y lo que están esperando en mostrarles eso es que ustedes ven que cuando vamos a combinar los decimales, o sea, los centésimas o las centésimas no se puede combinar con nada aquí porque no hay, ¿ok? Entonces eso sería un 0,4. Y ustedes si quieren pueden empezar con las decenas también, pero a mí siempre me gustaba trabajar de derecha a izquierda, porque así es como hago mi trabajo, ¿verdad? Entonces, aquí de décimas, una décima aquí, 5 aquí, voy a escribir que es 1 más 5, va a ser 6 décimas, ¿verdad? Y puedo checar aquí, puedo verificar que voy bien. Décimas, 6, sí está bien. ¿Ok? Luego, unidades, 2 y 7. ¿Ok? 2 y 7, voy a escribir 9, igualito, ¿verdad? Y al final, decenas, eso va a ser 30 más 10, que sería 40. Entonces aquí tenemos 49 y 64 centésimas. ¿Ok? Fácil, ¿no? Eso es como, como escribe algo en la forma desarrollada. ¿Ok? Vamos a practicar eso ahorita con unas problemitas nuevas. ¿Ok? Y vamos a intentar organizarlos. Eso se ve un poquito más difícil. Vamos a ver. Desde su casa, Tim recorre 3 y 82 centésimas millas en autobús. Luego camina 4 décimas millas desde la parada de autobús hasta la escuela. ¿Cuántas millas recorre Tim desde su casa hasta la escuela? Bueno, ustedes ya saben, estamos hablando de sumar, pero podríamos poner un en total ahí al final de la pregunta, ¿verdad? Y todavía tendrá sentido. Entonces, ya sabemos qué es sumar. Vamos a sumar. Ustedes pueden poner pausa, toma su tiempo, ¿ok? Y pueden practicarlo. Ok, bueno, muy bien. A ver, ¿cómo les fue? Aquí tenemos el valor posicional, pero les voy a mostrar, o sea, nada más cómo escribirlo así. 3 y decimal siempre se dice y, 3,82 millas. ¿Y qué es lo importante? Lo que es importante es que tenemos que alinear nuestros decimales. Vamos a poner el decimal ahí. Y luego tenemos 4 décimas millas. Voy a poner el 4 ahí. ¿Ok? Ahora, acuérdense, les dije, puedes ya sumarlo. ¿Ok? Y así es. O puedes poner un 0 aquí, si quieres, o un 0 aquí. ¿Ok? Igual. ¿Ok? Es igual. Los voy a quitar. ¿Ok? Para no confundir. ¿Ok? 2 más, pues 0, ¿verdad? Va a ser 2. ¿Ok? Aquí tenemos un truco. ¿Ok? 8 más 4. 12, ¿verdad? Bueno, igualito que si estuvimos sumando 8 más 4, tenemos que poner el número aquí. Vamos a poner el 1 aquí, ¿ok? Y eso va a ser 4. Y luego nuestra decimal aquí, aquí, entonces tiene que ser aquí, ¿ok? Alineado siempre, ¿ok? Siempre, siempre, siempre. Que estamos sumando o restando, tenemos que tener la decimal en la misma posición, ¿ok? Entonces, a final de cuentas, terminamos con 4,22. A ver, ¿ustedes también? Espero que sí. Vamos a ver. Puedes usar una tabla de valor posicional para ayudarte a entender cómo sumar decimales, lo que estuvimos haciendo nosotros antes, ¿verdad? O sea, lo ideal es que no tienes que usar de valor posicional, pero cuando ustedes tienen que estimar decimales, eso te va a ayudar mucho. Tabla de valor posicional. ¿Ok? Entonces no es nada malo tener que usarlo. Si sumamos aquí, pues 3 unidades, 8 décimas, 2 centésimas y aquí de la parada de autobús a la escuela, 4 décimas. 4 décimas equivale a 40 centésimas, por lo tanto puedes escribir un 0 en la columna de centésimas, ¿ok? Ya, puedes escribir el 0 si te ayuda, o sea, si no se necesita, no tiene que ponerlo, ¿ok? Es igual porque no va a afectar la respuesta final. Ok, chicos, muy bien. Eso fue nuestra lección de sumar decimales. Acuérdense que siempre puedes regresar. Busca esa tabla de valor posicional de decimales en Google si se necesita o toma un screenshot, ok, de la que estuvimos usando en el video. Ok, chicos, mucha suerte. Hasta luego.